If you've been watching my channel or know me personally, you probably would have known that I love Kirby Super Star. While I have played the remake a ton growing up, I never actually played the original game until 2016 when I decided to start speedrunning it. In most cases, speedrunning a game can make you grow a dislike towards said game, but this truly was an exception for me. I've seen a lot of people share the opinion that Kirby Super Star is the best Kirby game, and I personally thought it was a bit overrated and got too much praise. That was before I actually played it. Speedrunning it really opened my eyes to the fact that this game truly is great, especially for the hardware it is running on.
I never knew how awesome this game was until I decided to start running it. Like, I thought this game was like one of those overrated games.
The game has a lot of content in it, a really vibrant art style that I'm a huge fan of, and the movement mechanics feel really smooth and natural. In my opinion, this game set a new bar for the Kirby series that unfortunately I don't think it's reached again, but anyway, let's take a look at where this series all began. 1992, Kirby's Dream Land released on the original Game Boy. There is something a bit off about this game, and no, it isn't the fact that Kirby is completely white in the box art. There are no copy abilities in this game. That's right, a Kirby game lacking the main gimmick of Kirby games. Copy abilities did not exist until 1993 with the release of Kirby's Adventure on the NES. What if Kirby games are still like this? What if they were just generic platformers that did not include any type of copy abilities? Would they still even be possible to complete? Well, why not find out with Kirby Super Star? So, the rules of this are simple. I cannot inhale and swallow an enemy that grants me an ability, and I cannot walk into those statue things that give them to you. Also, if you are unaware, Spring Breeze and Gourmet Race are not required to beat the game, so as expected, I will be skipping them. Enough talking, let's begin. Dyna 1, a lot of running, puffing, and flying in this stage. I was starting to get the Kirby's Dream Land feel already. The Kawasaki mini-boss is mildly annoying to get through, but I got through it eventually. Dyna 2, once again, more running, puffing, flying. This stage has an auto-scroller which is a bit annoying, but other than that, pretty simple. The Bonkers mini-boss, just like last, was also mildly annoying, but I got through it also. Dyna 3, this stage can feel really slow without abilities. It feels like one of those sections begging you to use wheel. Simple stuff besides this, I got through, and the Bugsy mini-boss was definitely the most challenging in the 3 so far, but yeah, I got through it. Dyna 4, a lot of flying here since you pretty much go vertical in every room. The boss was easy, got through the Frosty, the Bonkers, and the 2 Poppy Bros, and left. After this, it was time to actually fight Dynablade. Very dramatic walk to the Warp Star, but the boss itself was not really challenging without abilities, so it was pretty quick. Dynablade was done from here, and 0 abilities were used. This was a good start. Revenge of Meta Knight was next. My muscle memory from speedrunning almost made me mix for Jet, but then I realized what I was doing and spit out the enemies. I went down to the Heavy Lobster cutscene thing, and then went to the Grape Gardens area. I died right after the mini-boss because of the bird on. Got through the room again, did the next room, the auto-scroller, and went to the Twin Woods boss. I won't lie, this fight can be incredibly annoying without abilities. I died here twice because you can take a ton of damage really easily here. I got through my 3rd attempt and moved on. The Bonkers mini-boss was a bit scary. I got through it with extremely low health, went to the cannon room next, and then found the answer to the title of this video. No. It is not possible. I need the fire ability to actually use the cannon. This was unfortunate, but yeah, whatever. Why not continue and make this a minimum abilities challenge? After this, I got rid of the fire ability because keeping it would defeat the purpose of this. The double mini-boss was simple without abilities. All you have to do is inhale them. The mini-boss after this was not that simple, however. I am referring to the Poppy Bro and Suplex mini-boss. I died 2 times here as it can be pretty difficult to avoid all the projectiles. 3rd time, I got through it and went to the cannon. Easy. Did the room with all the jets, went to the bomb block room, and then realized I unfortunately need to use bomb to break the bomb blocks. Yeah, disappointing. I got rid of it after because I no longer need it, and then flew over the Frosty mini-boss trigger because the mini-boss triggers in this game are really good. Heavy Lobster was next, and while this fight wasn't necessarily difficult, it was pretty long. One thing I did not mention yet was Kirby's guarding ability. Not only can this prevent you from taking damage, but it also takes away 1 singular health point from the enemy. I used this quite a bit during the Heavy Lobster fight, and even my last hit was from guarding. It is pretty useful. During the room with the switches, I was used to speedrun strats and messed it up on my 1st attempt. The reactor fight was pretty much the exact same as it normally would be since you can't use abilities to deal damage here. I actually got a pretty nice RNG pattern here too. Wouldn't really get that normally. I then died in the auto-scroller somehow because I'm smart. Did the last mini-boss here, a clone of the previous one where you simply need to inhale the enemies, and the Meta Knight fight was next. It is really forcing me to pick up the sword, isn't it? Yeah, even if I got the sword and instantly got rid of it, Kirby and Meta Knight would just stare at each other, so you can't really do anything here. Of course you can guard, but I'm pretty sure it would be impossible to win the fight just off guarding since it would take too much damage. That being said, I had to take the sword and use it unfortunately. After this fight, I did a glitch that I thought was too insignificant to mention in my Kirby Super Star glitches video. I turned the sword ability into a helper during the fade out, which glitches out the sprite you land on. Very cool and useful, I know. The Wheelie Rider section, the last part of Meta Knight, I surprisingly didn't mess up any of the jumps here, but no, I am not counting the Wheelie Rider as an ability since you are pretty much forced to use it and you can't get off it. It's sort of like a cutscene, but it also isn't at the same time, if that makes any sense. Great Cave Offensive. I got through a bunch of rooms and made it all the way to the mini-boss and then died. The rooms here are fairly simple without abilities, just a bunch of jumping and flying. And then in the back, I broke the blocks and got my revenge in the Bonkers, and this time he was the one who fell down. Finished the rest of this room and the next one, and then went to the whale boss. I was a bit shocked it didn't die during this fight, honestly. A lot of the projectiles it spits out are pillar right in front of you, so you feel forced to take damage if you want to deal damage. I tried to jump on the carpet and got off, so it didn't wait for me. A few more rooms after this, and I went to the Battle Windows boss. The Battle Windows fight is the worst with no abilities. Not only can it take forever, but your only ways of dealing damage are to spit back the occasional projectiles it spits out at you, or to guard. I had one death in this fight due to the Magician, but other than that, this fight is nothing compared to the harder version of this fight towards the end of the game. It's not good. Moving on to the minecart section and the other minecart section, I did the quick rooms in the Crystal Gardens area and then went to fight Wham Bam Rock. I had a death here in my first attempt, unfortunately. This is another one of those fights that can be a bit challenging, but also could take quite a bit of time since it doesn't shoot out many projectiles. Instead, it ends up spending a lot of time doing these weird hand animations and trying to crush you. Several minutes later, I made it through, rode the minecarts, and rode the elevator and escaped the cave. Milky Way Wishes, the last section of the game. Because I'm used to speedrunning this, I did the speedrun route for the planets. That being said, I went to Sky High first. This planet is pretty short and simple, and no, the invincibility candy does not count as a copy ability, and plus there's seemingly no way around it here. Unfortunately, I couldn't even use this ability to my advantage during the Krakow fight because I had to wait for the Waddle Doos anyway. Hotbeat, a lot of puffing here to avoid the fire. There are a lot of hits here that are extremely hard to avoid anyway. I got another invincibility candy. Once again, it doesn't count. Breeze to the next room, the cannon room, and then went to the chameleon boss. I was not paying attention too much on my first attempt at this fight, which caused me to die. It can be really easy to take hits here from him either sticking out his tongue or shooting his projectile things. The camouflage mode can also make things a bit harder. I got through it anyway, went to the star. Mech-Eye. Died. I didn't do it next time. I picked up an invincibility candy, and you know what I'm probably gonna say, but I'm not gonna say it again. I messed up the switch room just like the one in Revenge of Mennonite because I was used to the way of doing it in speedruns. Went up 3 floors, got rid of the bonkers, and went to the heavy lobster fight. Exact same thing as the one in Revenge of Mennonite, so no point covering. Caveats, I managed to defeat the Kawasaki mini-boss by simply guarding. The Poppy Bro mini-boss did the job for me. Another bonkers, another Bugsy, and another Wham Bam fight. Once again, already went over this. Floria, same stuff as usual. First door twice, second door once, third door 3 times. However, I did accidentally enter the door more than that though, which is annoying. Twin Woods boss, yeah. Aqualus, swim even more. Whale fight that I already did previously. Last but not least, Half Moon. I did some puffing to get over, rode the minecarts. These double fights can be really annoying without abilities, I can't stress that enough. I had a death here first attempt, got through it on second, flew up during the next room, and it was finally time for the hardest fight in the playthrough. Battle Windows 2. I died here countless times and my successful attempt took 5 minutes. The reason this fight can be so hard is the fact that the projectiles go really fast, and if you successfully inhale one, you will probably end up taking a hit from another. Also, the HP for each of these is ridiculous. The Magician has 80, the Dark Knight has 180, and lastly the Dragon has 250. The strategy I used to complete the Dragon was to only inhale the fingernails, as they were the easiest projectiles to get. For any other pattern, I would just simply guard and deal some damage that way. While it may seem like it isn't, the guarding mechanic in this fight can be really useful to get some extra hits and finish them off. Finally made it through after a bunch of attempts, and it was time for Nova. I was not looking at the screen and I crashed into the wall. Wasn't looking again, so I just died on purpose. I did get through next try, I did the damage boost strat in the heart of Nova, and I went to Marks. I was just able to finish him off, but he got a bit too close to me. This fight can take a long time without abilities. Marks barely drops any projectiles and is instead doing these lawn animations hoping you get hurt by them. I missed a ton of hits here due to impatience, but after several minutes I got the final hit and completed. Kirby Super Star is not possible to complete without abilities, all because of one section of the game. Yeah, sure, this is unfortunate, but who knows, maybe some magical glitches will be discovered to shoot the cannon, break the bomb blocks, and avoid grabbing the sword. You know, I doubt it, but you never know. There was a surprising amount of challenge in this playthrough, and some of the boss fights were a bit ridiculous, as you saw. Would I recommend trying this out for yourself? If you want to test your skill at the boss fights, sure, but if you want to actually enjoy the game, no. Taking away one of the main features of a game can really dull it down, and removing copy abilities from this game is no exception. I am glad that copy abilities exist.